like, I'm going to start to care about what color I am. And then he's like, nope, never mind. Because if I happen to get in that negative of a mind frame before a game starts, that can't be good. Like, if I can't have blue, I can't have red, and I've actually seen an argument break out in a Go 4 SE2 Cup.
Oh, wow.
Over color. Yeah, over it. And it was one of the most nice-mannered players ever, too. So they had to rock, scissors, paper, and one lost in the chat. So these, you know what? As funny as it sounds, though, it's almost like wearing your favorite socks when you're playing in a baseball game or whatever. It's the same as any other sport. Like, these guys, like, some of them just like being a certain color.
They absolutely do.
We see a proxy. We should mention we do see a proxy barracks.
This is like half of a Macarax. Like, it's not behind the minerals, so it's like, but it's not really like proxied in the other guy's base.
It's a Marax.
A Marax? All right, we'll go with that. It's a Marax. And actually, we saw this build out of. I saw someone do this build pretty recently, and they brought all the SCVs as well. And we'll have to see if that's what happens, if that's what Pokebunny does here. But of course, he is up one game, so this could be pretty good for him. He does have two SCVs here, and there's just a Zealot and a Stalker out for iS.Axslav.
Well, you can see iS.Axslav totally tipped off when the Zealot saw that SCV, so immediately starts another Stalker. So another Stalker is on the way, going to try to stave off this. But once again, what I love about Pokebunny, a couple things. Young player, right? Very, very young, of course. I said I've been casting him since Map of the Month number 7, which was like that months ago, like 8 months ago maybe. And he's fearless and has great control, but also, as you can see, loves to just expand behind these little pressures. And I really think that it's one of those things that a lot of Terran don't do, right? Because you see a lot of one-base aggression out of even some of the best Terran, including Hart at the last week's MLG. But Pokebunny loves to expand behind these pressures, and I really think that that's the way to play because, worst case scenario, Gwyn, if things don't go your way, you're not out of the game.
You fall back to your expansion and your bunkers, and he's teching behind this. Obviously, if we take a look back in Pokebunny's base, he's got, that tech lab going down on the barracks. He's double gas, so he's going to be able to get a factory pretty soon and get medevacs should he want to. And he just lifts up this other barracks as the probe almost gets to see it, but it's on the high ground.
And that's one of the beautiful things. That's what I love when Boxer was doing stuff like this. Anytime you see, or as you said, the famed Macarax, but when what does it do? Same thing against Zerg. It's not going to hurt you. It gives you better pathing. It can confuse your opponent a lot of times. And worst case, you just go ahead and float on back. So it's a great use. It's a great strat. And I love to see when Terran go ahead and use it.
Absolutely. Now we do see 3 gates down for iS.Axslav, the Forge on the way. His expansion just finished up, and he did drop a proxy pylon here, so we might see a little bit of pressure out of him. Once, of course, you can do that 3-gate expand. It's not quite as popular as it was a few months ago, and he kind of got the expansion before he's putting on the pressure. But this is going to be pressure nonetheless, and the big thing to know here is that Pokebunny, he doesn't have any of his tech finished. He has 1 Marauder out, which of course are good against Stalkers, but he doesn't have Stim, he doesn't have Concussive, he doesn't have Combat Shields, and we're approaching the 8-minute mark in this game.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and put something out there and allow everybody to make fun of me. It's fine. Happens all the time. I got big shoulders, self-deprecating humor's the best, but I've been touting a build. It's, I really want to see Proxy Robo. Well, hold that thought, though, because here we go, Gwen. It's going to get interesting here as Guardian Shield gets popped and Zealots are moving in, and he's going to do a really good job force building around that bunker.
Yep, he does, of course, deny the repair in there. He will be able to kill off the 2 Marauders inside. And he's actually doing quite a bit of damage here, killing off some SCVs. As iS.Axslav pushes in, Pokebunny GG's out. Lost his force there, wasn't able to get the repair on that bunker. So we do, of course, we are going to be going to a game 3. I'm excited, man. That was a short game, but iS.Axslav played that real well. He held off that initial pressure and just turned around and said, all right, now it's my turn.
Well, I don't feel like everything I was touting Pokebunny was spot on. However, you definitely have to anticipate rather the retaliation coming out of Protoss. So a lot of Terran will go down and throw down a couple bunkers, and what they'll do is they'll have SCVs sit outside the bunker. Exactly outside. That way they're ready to repair. So again, and against a player like iS.Axslav, you need to do that because he's so very good with his control. So great game there
Yeah, I mean, so many of these, these players who came from Warcraft 3, they've got really good unit control, a lot of really good micro, and they can just like kind of walk in and be like, oh, okay, well, I held off your early pressure. You didn't really do any damage with it, and I know you're going to be so far behind doing that build with all the rest of your things that I should be able to put some pressure on or severely punish you for that.
Yeah, and the great thing about this is we get to go to another game with these two. So that's
absolutely.
So the selfish part of me is like, yes, the ace match. That's amazing. Good stuff.
We absolutely. So we're gonna go ahead and jump into that game in just a moment. But guys, a little bit about ONOG before we go. If you have ever watched MLG from your home or from somewhere other than actually at MLG, then you should make that place a barcraft. Basically, if you're watching MLG at home, sitting at your computer, it's kind of cool. Like you can sit there in your underwear and watch MLG, but really, it's way more fun to be at a barcraft. You can have some beer, you can have some good food, and there are like 1,000 screaming nerds. There's nowhere better except being actually at the MLG.
Can I tell a quick story?
Oh yeah,
in
please
regards
do.
to that. So it was a year ago, Columbus, that I was in the Skype. We did Skype viewing parties, and while that's fun, and we saw MC's probe go down to Idra's Lings. I've recited this over landmark event in esports because we heard the roar of the crowd for the first time that loud at a North American esports event for SE2. I think it sort of resonated with everybody, even the people in the Skype call were like, now imagine that, but instead of being in a Skype call, you're at a bar.
Yeah.
I mean,
and you had like 4 pints.
If you're of age and you can have a couple beers, right? Pre-game show going on, like,
oh yeah,
it almost makes me just want to go to a barcraft rather than cast some of these MLGs. I have to say, I'd like to just take one day, just half a day, and sneak out so I can go to a barcraft and watch some of the other matches going on. That would be amazing because I cannot think of a better place to be able to do that. So. Yeah. Skype call, viewing party, those were cool, but barcrafts are the place to be.
Oh yeah, it's like the next level, man. You go. I went to my first barcraft actually for this last MLG Tumba. It was at a Buffalo Wild Wings. I had a lot of hot wings and I had a lot of beer. And Rotterdam and I just sat there and we just like talked about the games. Quaffed some ale and ate hot wings. It was amazing.
Ale, so good.
All right.
So articulate, Gwyn.
Well, thank you. I'm like choking up, man. I don't even know what to say. You're one of those famous casters that someday someone like me might get to be. But with that, guys,
let's not go there.
With that, guys, we need to go to a quick commercial break and then bring you game number 3 of Pokebunny versus Axslav. All right, guys, and coming back from our short break there, this is Gwyn. With me, of course, is Tumba. And Tumba, where can people find you outside of casting the ONOG?
Essentially MLG. So
Okay.
that's might have heard of that little tournament goes on once in a while. And follow me on Twitter at TumbaSC.
All right. And of course, you can follow me on Twitter at Gwyncraft as well. I have been casting for, I don't know, about a year now. I've been casting for Check 6 Gaming, Cyber Sports Network. I do a show for CSN every Thursday. It's actually not, it's changing to Mondays in a couple weeks. It's called The Rundown. get 8 players. Violet has showed up pretty much every week. Sleep is there quite often as well, so some really good players duking it out in that event. But back on the ONOG, guys, if you like these tournaments, if you like, of course, what you're seeing, the ONOG events, please follow these guys on Twitter. They are ONOG_esports. That's ONOG Esports. Like them on Facebook at One Nation of Gamers, and go to their website, onenationofgamers.com. But without further ado, I think we have a game 3, and we need to bring that to these people.
I agree with you, Gwen. Count us down, my friend.
All right, we're going to be starting then in 3, 2, and 1. And jumping over to the game screen instead of that main screen. In the red, playing Protoss for Team Infinity 7, it is iS.Axslav. And in the purple, playing for Team Gosu as our Terran, we do have Pokebunny. And tell me, this is actually kind of an interesting name, Pokebunny. Do you happen to know where he came up with that?
Yeah, there was an AMA he did on Reddit not too long ago, actually.
Oh, really?
And I want to say that Gwen, I'm not 100, but I think it was one of those things where he just picked it in a random game, didn't he? But it wasn't StarCraft. He kept it, though?
I actually don't know. I was asking the question because I had no idea.
So the AMA, as the AMA goes, and Pokebunny, I apologize if I'm getting this wrong, but I do believe it was just a name he picked. I don't even think it was in StarCraft. He picked it a while ago, and it just stuck, so he kept it for StarCraft. And obviously, so often that is the story, as it were. I know Mr. Bitter as well has his sort of like a family nickname kind of thing. So I'm always interested to see how these players come up with their names.
Yeah, absolutely. But we do see both players opting just to do pretty normal stuff so far. Pokebunny, of course, throwing down that first barracks. We have the gateway on the way for iS.Axslav, and we're on Cloud Kingdom, which is one of the newer additions to the tournament map pools. It's also one of the newer additions to the ladder maps, and I am so glad this is a ladder map.
Oh, for sure. I mean, it's great that Blizzard actually responded to what the community wanted, which was good maps, and I don't think that there's anybody better suited to bring Blizzard ladder maps than the community, because simply Blizzard can't hire that many. I mean, you've got an entire community, and these guys are artists, man. Don't get it twisted. Like, this takes a lot of effort. This is, it's where the game is played, so it's like your pitch or your soccer field or your basketball court, whatever you want to call it. It's where we play the game. And the difference between all of those things that are standard, like a hockey rink or a football field, there are nuances in each map that affect every single matchup. Yeah. So, I really, hats off to the ESV guys, and I'm really, really happy that Blizzard, expanded their mindset in terms of the maps, and it's really great to see this in the map pool.
I couldn't agree more with you, Tumba. I mean, it's one of those things, like, imagine if we were still playing tournament games on Steps of War.
Oh, gosh.
I mean,
so bad.
Like, really, like, imagine if we were still playing games on Steps of War or Kulos Extreme. Or, I'm sorry, Kulos Ravine, not Kulos Extreme, which was a great custom map.
Well, Steps was almost just hilarious because it was so close. It was one of those things where it produced a lot of funny cheese games.
Like, I'm pretty sure if you siege tanks on the edge of your natural, you could actually hit your opponent's natural expansion.
Right. Right, it was that close. And, I kind of feel, and I talked to the map makers a lot, and I talked to Diamond from ESV a lot. And it's so great to see him again over the weekend. And I sort of feel like this map is like Xel'Naga grown up.
Okay.
In other words, if this map had come out initially in the first ladder pool, it probably would have been over-scrutinized, and they would have said it was not a very good map. But because of where the metagames are now, it's touted as just amazing.
I actually agree with that quite a bit. We'll get into that a little bit more. I just want to touch on what some of the players are doing. Gosu.Pokebunny went for that 1x expand. He's following it up by the double gassing, throwing down 2 additional barracks. And he has that bunker at his front, which warded off that Stalker Zealot pressure that iS.Axslav just tried to put on. iS.Axslav went for the 1 gate expand, and he has Warp Gate on the way, as well as 2 additional gates. No robotics quite yet, but I would not be surprised to see that, or a Forge, following up as soon as he takes a second gas.
Well, the double Forge right now is de facto standard metagame for Protoss. I mean, that's really putting Chrono to use. So what we see a lot of Terrans do is start to try to respond getting their upgrades much quicker. Pokebunny, obviously very, very confident